Welcome to the World News, your daily dose of stories around the globe. I'm Randolf Jamias here in Naypyidaw. To start the news, a new round of floods recently triggered by heavy monsoon rains swept across India's northeast state of Assam, so far killing 18 people and leaving around 400,000 others homeless. The floods are also reported to have submerged more than 1,900 villages in the region. Hundreds of thousands of local residents have been forced to flee their homes after floods pelted Assam since July, when the state entered the monsoon season. The floods battered 16 out of 27 districts and submerged almost 2,000 villages in Assam. 18 people died and the lives of about 1.7 million others have been affected so far. The Indian government has set up 279 shelters for the homeless people. Meanwhile, in China, Beijing is ready to implement stricter air quality, and the criteria is being upgraded in preparation for improvements in air quality standards. We have a report in one of the city's air monitoring stations. Let's find out more.
It's Tuesday morning, and An Xinxin has started his regular check at an air monitoring station in central Beijing. An's job is to check the equipment at the station and make sure they're collecting valid data.
This is an automatic system. Air samples are collected through the facilities at the top of the station and then analyzed here. The results are then sent to our environmental monitoring center.
For years, China's environmental authorities have monitored PM10, meaning air particles with a diameter of 10 microns, the key index used for measuring China's air quality. However, many Chinese cities have frequently witnessed thick haze in the air over the past few years. It has led to a public discussion on whether the old standard is an accurate reflection of the air quality in China's cities. Many cities in China have experienced hazy days in recent years. It also raised public concern on air quality. Monitoring PM2.5 will help the government understand the pollution level and take action. PM2.5 represents particles in the air with a diameter of 2.5 microns or less. They're small enough to penetrate human lung tissue, causing severe health problems. In March this year, the government announced a new air quality standard, which includes PM2.5 into the monitoring criteria. Beijing, as one of the trial areas, needs to adopt the standard by the end of this year.
We currently have over 30 sample stations in 16 districts and counties of Beijing. Most stations have just installed the PM2.5 monitoring equipment. The trial period will run until the end of this year. And starting from January the 1st, 2013, a PM2.5 level reading at all the monitoring stations will be available to the public.
In accordance with the government's timetable, the new air quality standard will be introduced in all cities of prefecture level or above by 2015. Li Nan, CCTV, Beijing.
In other news, a research mission across the world's oceans has revealed double the number of types of plankton existing in the sea as previously thought. The Tara schooner has been docked in London for 10 days, following its momentous 2.5-year voyage across the Atlantic, Pacific, Antarctic, and Indian Oceans to chart the impact of climate change. Jim Jury takes us on board to tell the story.
When you do take a microscope and look at sort of the average drop of water, you see that it's really teeming with all kinds of microscopic life that do incredibly important functions for managing the planet, ensuring the well-being of the planet, generating the oxygen we breathe, removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and generally maintaining this Earth in a state that is habitable for us human beings.
Scientist Chris Bowler has just returned from a 70,000-mile voyage across the world's oceans aboard Tara, a schooner equipped for scientific research. The Tara unique attempts to investigate the impacts of climate change on marine ecosystems and biodiversity have brought back 30,000 samples from the ocean floor. There were preliminary findings of 500,000 types of double previous estimates.
We're using very high throughput DNA sequencing technology. We're using high throughput microscopy. Obviously, it's going to take a long time, and we need not only to study our present in each different area that we sample, we need to match that up with the physico-chemical conditions of that area.
Among the samples, the humble diatom, a unicellular organism which first appeared 200 million years ago. Bowler says the diatom is crucial to human existence.
Close to half of the oxygen generated by the oceans we get from diatoms. So that basically means every fifth time that you breathe, you're breathing oxygen really traced back to diatoms. So that's sort of as important as the tropical rainforests in terms of their distribution.
Bowler says plankton populations are affected by and in turn can influence the climate by modifying the earth. The expedition team say they are predicting how the ocean will look in the future, when CO2 levels are higher and more concentrated. The study access databases, allowing scientists to go back in time to improve their understanding of the biosphere's history. But Bowler's team say looking to the future is perhaps even more important. They see their plankton survey as a new source of evidence, underscoring the danger.
Turning now to the latest in technology. People have been talking for some time about how robotics might replace the human workforce and eventually find their way into the homes. However, not many people actually own a robot at home or a workplace. But that may finally start to change as personal robots are getting cheaper and finding new ways to prove their value. Double Robotics is focused on building beautiful products with a rich user experience that is seldom found in the field of robotics. The company now is working on an iPad, allowing users to see what the iPad sees and the person you are talking with to see you as well.
Offices want to feel more connected to remote workers or remote offices. Doctors want to visit patients more frequently. It's great because a museum can give a tour of their museum at night when they're closed to a different country that's awake.
Personal Robot 2 or PR2 has 7 cameras and sensors, allowing users to perceive, navigate, and manipulate.
This robot is designed to help robotics researchers develop software for the next generation of robots where the hardware will be less expensive. This is the very first personal robot that's a generation before the ones you'll buy.
Henry Evans has a brainstem stroke and used PR2 to do things for him.
With the robot, he has the beginning possibility of doing something for other people as well, and that's a big deal. It's more than remote presence, it's actually remote action.
Steve Cousins said, we are still about 10 years away from seeing automatic robots like PR2 to become widespread at homes. Its spin-off company will soon release the device. Now, something new about much-hated cockroach. Researchers at North Carolina State University are turning cockroaches into joystick-controlled cyborgs for use in search and rescue operations. With a wireless interface and tiny electrodes, the scientists say they are attempting to capitalize on the insect's unique ability to scuttle in and out of the tiniest crevice. Ben Brewer has more.
Professor Albert Boskert loves cockroaches. Where most people see a pest, Boskert sees a six-legged partner. Boskert and his team are developing a cyborg cockroach, a living insect with electrodes connected to its sensory organs. One day, he says, the roach will be an essential tool in search and rescue operations. It'll be adapted to carry a miniature camera or microphone into buildings flattened by earthquakes to look for survivors. And it'll be controlled remotely by humans. These electrodes act as an interface that allow the researchers to steer the cockroach with a joystick. The principal electrodes are attached to the insect's antennas. With a press of a button, the researchers send an electrical pulse which manipulates the roach's senses.
What we do is we basically simulate some virtual obstacles in front of them in our cockroach experiments by stimulating their antenna. And to avoid those obstacles, they turn right and they turn left.
And they can direct the roach to move forward as well, with a third electrode connected to the rear of the cockroach's abdomen. Boskert says when this electrode is activated, it tricks the insect into believing it's being chased by a non-existent predator. But the team's experiments have not come without controversy. Many people, even those who hate cockroaches, have questioned the ethics of using a living creature as a tool. But Boskurt dismisses the critics. He says steering a roach with a remote control is much the same as steering a horse with reins, something humans have been doing for thousands of years.
We don't believe we induce any feeling of pain to the insect with our stimulation. Many people may be thinking that we are zapping the insect and it tries to avoid the pain and goes in the other direction. But biologically, there are a lot of research, publications, and evidence out there which suggests that there is no concept of pain in the insect.
Boskurt says there are many years of research before his roaches are ready for search and rescue operations. In the meantime, he says, he wants people to see that there's more to the cockroach than meets the eye.
Such a unique idea. We now head to France for some unique bronze art. The infamous headbutt that French football legend Zinedine Zidane landed on an Italian during a World Cup final has been transformed into a giant statue and displayed in front of the Pompidou Center in Paris. The bronze art, simply titled Headbutt, was Wednesday attracting crowds of tourists and locals who jostled to have their photos taken in front of the 5-meter statue. The sculpture is by Algerian artist Adel Abdesemed, subject of the retrospective exhibition from October 3rd until next January. Zidane was sent off in the 2006 World Cup final for headbutting Marco Materazzi in the chest. That was the France's captain's last ever professional match as a player. A good gesture for our last story. 2 cities in the Netherlands are expressing their country's friendship with Japan with flowers. They dedicated a new type of tulip to people affected by last year's earthquake and tsunami.
Amsterdam Mayor Eberhard van der Laan brought the tulip to Japan. The gift also comes from the Dutch city of Amstelveen. Van der Laan reveals that the flower is called Tohoku, the name of the region affected by the disaster. A Dutch commercial grower cultivated the tulip. Tohoku changes from orange to pink as it blooms. Orange is the national color of the Netherlands. Pink is associated with cherry blossoms, which are woven into Japanese culture and tradition. Van der Laan and the mayor of Amstelveen will visit the northeastern city of Sendai on Friday. They will deliver bulbs of the new tulip to school children there. Representatives at the Dutch embassy in Japan plan to ship 11,000 more bulbs to Sendai next year.
I think is that in the Netherlands, many people felt a lot of sorrow for the people of Sendai. I still do, of course. And this tulip can also be an expression of it.
The Netherlands has had close economic and cultural ties with Japan for more than 400 years. It's the only European country that traded with the Edo shogunate. Dutch people were active in raising funds for the victims of last year's disaster.
Thanks for the company. World News will be right back. Please stay with us.